Yo,
I got
what's up?
Yeah,
What's up? Y'all caught us in the middle of a off-air conversation, but whatever. Hey, what's up? What's up? This is the Crossover Podcast coming to you on this Friday at the start of your long MLK Day weekend. Yes, we made it. This is the 12th day of the new year. We have made it. We have made it. It is hot over here on the East Coast, but it's fitting to go down back to normal by the end of the night. But here we are. But I'll tell you what's always hot: the sports takes on the crossover sports podcast. I'll tell you what'll keep you warm. These hot takes coming from me, Mac Attack, the Destroyer. Let's get it ready. Let's get it popping right now. Go ahead, Matt, and reintroduce yourself. What's up, Dre?
well. Hello, people. Tomorrow is playoff football, and I can't wait for that. But I got a lot on my mind about this. What we heard in the last 48 hours. It's gonna be a non-drunken Phil Ray show today. Woo!
Dre?
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Andre Terry here. I'm a little not in Philly right now, outside the city on this retreat, but I'm still excited to be on the podcast
I'm
always.
outside Philly too. I'm in Louisiana for God's sakes.
We know, Matt. We talked about it like on the last couple podcasts. It's my time to shine. Shut up, Matt. Let me not tell you shut up. I got in trouble last. Those my shut up.
You find Trey while you were there?
I didn't know Trey was here. I gotta find him. I just got here not too long ago.
Oh, okay. If you find Trey while in your journey, make sure force him to be on this podcast.
Oh.
Go ahead, Amina.
yeah. Hey everyone, it's Amina joining you all on this rainy day in Philly. We got some rain all weekend in the forecast, and it's going to cause the weather to go back to normal, unfortunately. But let's talk about these topics today.
All right, y'all. Let's get it. Let's get it then. All right, y'all know fans of the show. For you first time listeners, as we always start the show, we start the show with our crossover hot takes. This is where we get into it. Now, as I like to always say, we are a sports podcast, but sometimes there are just some things that are bigger than sports that we decide need to have the light shown on them on this podcast. This is where this comes into play. So, but we are a sports focused podcast, but we do get into some local political entertainment and pop culture topics up on this show. We try not to hit y'all over the head too much, but let's get it started. All right, y'all. I know some of y'all don't watch college football, but we had some big happenings this week on that end. 45 started his week there, and so did the rest of the country. But the question, so guys, was this the best coaching job Nick Saban has ever done during the national championship game? And Mac attacks Georgia in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Matt. Don't hurt him too much. Matt, you there? Matt.
I'm sorry. I had to step out.
Oh, okay. Nick Saban, was this Nick Saban's best coaching job he's ever done during a national championship game? And I just said you're about to attack Georgia in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead,
First
Ma.
of all, I'm saying right now, it's Georgia. You can first look. Y'all can for all y'all Braves, Falcons, Hawks, Georgia Tech, University of Georgia. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not gonna win. I mean, it's Georgia. What do you expect? The fact that success is allergic there. Okay, the last time Atlanta or the state for that matter won anything, you have to go back to the Braves in 1995. That's the last time Atlanta won anything. If you forget, they had a hockey team twice, lost it to the Flames of Calgary and lost it to Winnipeg. But that's neither nor there. Let's put it this way. But I'm going to say this right now. Nick Saban did a great job and made a gutsy move as far as switching quarterbacks and everything. But I'm sorry. I don't know what it is with Georgia and I don't know, but in my view, I don't know, something wrong in Georgia. Something in the water, or they had too much barbecue, or I have no idea, or they probably had too much peaches. I mean, who knows? I mean, even in Atlanta, too many Peachtree streets and stuff like that. Peachtree Drive and Peachtree Avenue, Peachtree Northwest. I mean, look, but I'm getting off subject. Point is, okay, that they couldn't close it out. They could not close it out. Georgia could not close it out. Just like the Falcons couldn't close it out. And oh, by the way, they're coming into Philadelphia. Everybody, we're going to talk about it. Everybody, let's go do this. Okay. You keep saying that. Keep saying it. Keep talking about it. But that's all I'm going to say on that one, because as far as I'm concerned, I mean, all y'all Atlanta fans, Georgia fans need to shut your faces, because until y'all prove y'all can keep a lead and not blow it, y'all shouldn't be talking.
Andre? All right, go ahead, Amina.
Yeah, as Matt said, Georgia has.
You watch the highlight.
Are you gonna
How
go?
the
I don't know
Who's
what.
talking now?
Yeah, go ahead, Amina. I don't know what happened out there.
Oh, okay. Um, as Matt said, with Georgia's sports team situation going on, um, I don't keep up too much with college football, but as is obviously known, Atlanta and specifically Georgia is a state has a situation where they can't, win anything. It's like the momentum is there, then they play all these games, get there to a championship, and boom, the other team steals it from them, or sneaks up on them. This college football game is just like the Super Bowl last year, that when the Falcons played against the what was that, the Patriots, yeah, and how both teams, they had the game, they nearly won the game, got to the fourth quarter, the end of the fourth quarter at that, and blew it. So, oh well. Maybe something can happen in the future for Georgia sports teams, but I don't know. Even their basketball team, but the Atlanta Hawks, they suck right now. So I don't know what's up with Georgia. Maybe they are allergic to success, as Matt said. But hey, it is what it is. They they didn't show up and show out because they didn't want to win. Because if they did, they wouldn't have let the other team get them. So, oh well. Maybe another century.
Go ahead, Andre. I'm killing Georgia right now.
Yo, can you hear me? My microphone ain't working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was hitting the mute, John. It wasn't working. Um, I'm watching the highlights now. I ain't even catch the game. You gonna have to take this one, Kyle.
All right. Okay. I think this was a brilliant, as Matt said, this was brilliant strategy and coaching on the part of Nick Saban. And he did an excellent job. As I said on our previous one from this week, where we had a national championship specific podcast. Brilliant coaching job, very ballsy move. Substituting in a freshman for a struggling sophomore. And it really opened up. I mean, this is all Nick Saban. This is the genius of Nick Saban and the offensive coordinator of Alabama. They put in the freshman. He's a Christian, man of God. So I give him his props to Tagaloa. Got it right. And you know, Big T, or Big T as I've affectionately called him. He came up big in the moment, man. That was a moment where Nick Saban was either going to look like a genius or an idiot, and Tagovailoa made him look like a genius. He opened up the playbook for them. He had a Donovan McNabb-esque play where it was impossible. He had to make 3 people miss and run for a first down in order to keep his team's chances alive in that game. And if it wasn't for Big T, the Crimson Tide would have lost, and we'd be talking about something different this week. We'd be talking about UGA finally finished. They finished the game and everything, and it's you know, amazingly cheerful of them to be able to do that. So yeah, Nick Saban is a genius, man. I got to give it to him. He's a genius. He pushed the right button and it worked. That's all I can really say about him. And everybody knows I like Nick Saban, but you know, the teams that he get in Arizona and Alabama, this was his weakest team to me, but he made it work. Congratulations, sir. Hats off to you. Congrats to the University of Alabama, the Crimson Tide. They rolled on Monday night, and they've proven that they're a dynasty, I guess, a collegiate dynasty, the levels of which we have not seen since the U in the 80s, I guess. And even they didn't win as much as Alabama is currently winning, 5 titles in 9 years. But yeah, so we'll move right along. We'll move right along to our next topic. All right, guys. Speaking of blown leads, I think we probably spoke too soon, killing Georgia after our 76ers blew a 22-point lead. We'll get to that later. But what's our reaction to the NBA's first game in London? Even though most of us were at work when it was going on. But what's your reaction to the NBA finally having a game in London? Go ahead, Matt.
It shows the fact that the NBA not only is a global game, right? We all know that. But also its investment for think of the word right now. For appealing is showcasing pretty much top-notch talent in the world stages, and I believe that unlike football, which is not a world game, you know, American football, you know, football is, you know, one with the round ball, you kick in this goalpost and go goal. That's the world game. The NBA, basketball, has grown to be a global game. And to take that brand of the NBA and say, you know what, we'll have a game in London, here we'll have another game in all these other places is a great marketing tool. It's a great idea, and it expands the game, I think, in ways that you can only do by putting your product overseas. You know, think about this. world basketball, as we know, basketball before the Dream Team was not that great as far as the world stage is concerned. But by 1992, with the Dream Team of that team literally sweeping everybody off the gym, right? It made the world step up their game and say, you know what, this is the level of competition that we're in right now. You got to catch up, and the world has caught up with um, the game that we know today. So to have the NBA do this, and I think it's a very great idea. Um, I, I believe the NBA will truly benefit off of it over the long term versus say, the NFL, because the NBA is a more global game versus say the NFL, which is not. I mean, baseball unfortunately has been always been dragging its feet for decades. I mean, it is a global game to a point. Okay, but basketball has much of a, I'll admit, has a bigger following and it has a bigger global presence than American football and baseball. You take a, mean soccer is, or or the actual name of it, football. You know, that's primo sport number one in the world. So it's soccer slash football, depending on who you talk to, and then basketball is kind of right there at number two. But I think it will, by doing this, the NBA doing this is showing the world, is putting is putting basketball at a much bigger stage globally. That's where we're at, and why am I looking at Amina's screen and I see nothing but a ceiling, but that's not my problem though. But that's my thoughts about that.
Andre? Okay, maybe he's having mic trouble again. Go ahead, Mina.
Yeah, concerning the what is it, the Sixers and the Celtics, you said?
No, we're not there yet. Just your thoughts on the NBA having a game in London, their first game, the inaugural London games, and
Right,
the
that question.
NBA games.
I think it goes back to what Matt said about how the NBA and basketball in general is has become a globalized sport over the years. People, when I watch TV or movies or watch videos from other countries, I see their people, particularly their youth, taking up interest in the sport. And the people of England, the United Kingdom, have seemed to jump on the bandwagon. And it also ties into what LeVar Ball is over there doing with Lamelo and Leangelo over there in Lithuania with not a it's not a major league over there, but it's a league that I believe is building up. So with them in Lithuania, the NBA having their first game ever in London, it's became a globalized brand, so to speak, with the sport of basketball and how people no longer are limited to the 30 teams that are offered on U.S. soil. They have options now to go to other countries that fit their financial and personal needs, where they can grow and prosper and spread their wings that can't be spread on U.S. soil. So it's all about growth and progression with the sport that I hope other teams and other leagues such as the NFL, maybe National Hockey League, the MLB, and other major sports can follow the NBA's league to travel outside of U.S. soil and see what people are interested in a particular sport, and to establish what should I the word I should say establish leagues in other countries for all major sports. So because all great things started from a small seed and it blossomed into a crop. So maybe this is, the jump start of something where all major sports will be played and offered in all countries, where you just don't have to come to America or just stay home in America. You can actually travel with this now or live abroad, like a study abroad program that colleges and universities do. So, yeah, I think it's a great thing. So, we'll see how it goes. And hopefully, London and, the United Kingdom and Europe, for example, in general, together will come together to form their own version of the NBA. And maybe, who knows, their league can compete with the NBA and have, games competing against one another. So who knows how this will turn out and where it will go. But we'll just have to watch and find out.
I think that Matt.
My fault, Kyle. It was my.
Go ahead, Andre. I totally forgot about it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was having my phone. I'm excited to see the NBA go to different countries and different avenues. I thought the game was great, and it was really exciting to see, even though it was in a totally different country and neither one of them was at home. People actually was rooting for the Celtics and they was rooting for the Sixers, and they came out like it was. I think it was a sold out game, or it was not sold out. It was close to sold out, and it was a good game. I wish the Sixers would have won, but that's a story all in itself. Fire Brown, he's gonna throw that in there. But it was a good game. It was a great game, great atmosphere. And it was cool that you see the players kind of like embracing the culture. They was going around getting something to eat, getting to know the people. It was nice to see that they did like a little bit of community service over there. Of course, you gotta make it look good. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the NBA.
Yes, I'm very excited for the NBA. Like Andre said, it was a sellout. They actually just put the tickets on the sale that afternoon, and it sold out in like minutes. The commentator said. So, if I'm the NFL and I'm seeing the NBA have their first game and just outdo us in sales, and they've been having the game for about what, at least 6 or 7 years. They've been having NFL games, and in London, I mean, like Matt said, yes, basketball is a more global game. We've known ever since the Dream Team went over there, basketball's been big in Europe. The next big market after that is China. But we're very happy about, basketball, NBA being able to go over there. Like Matt said, it speaks to the marketing, it speaks to the star power, it speaks to the global uniqueness of the game. But I think what helps basketball that a lot of people don't consider is the amount of players, African Americans, white players, whatever, that all come from different countries. Like they had the graphic up during the game that 50, I think, about most of the players come from the United States. So 50 some percent of I'm gonna butcher the statistic, but 50 some percent of NBA players. He lives. We got Trey back. He lives. Oh my goodness.
What's up, everybody?
But we got the NBA. I think somebody, Trey, Matt, Andre, or Amina have to look up the exact stat for me. Don't quote me on that. But 57% of of basketball players, I think, a high 50s, come from obviously the States. But there's also about close to 40, maybe 38, 39% of the rest of the NBA comes from, international countries, Europe, Africa, Joel Embiid, Cameroon, just thinking of local players. Ben Simmons, Australia, y'all know, Dirk Nowitzki, Germany, blah, 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 blah. But just that star power alone allows the NBA to be way more global, get in more homes, because there's a lot of people all over different countries that'll say, oh my goodness, I'm from that country. I can play basketball. Wow, what a day. So, and even then, like, it just speaks to the global power of the NBA. And yes, like Amina said, I'm sure a lot of leagues are very envious of the NBA that they don't have that star power, that they're not an Olympic sport besides baseball and hockey and different things like that. But you know what? Basketball is king. Y'all know I love basketball. Basketball, number one sport. So I'm happy. I'm happy for the NBA, and I hope that continues. I hope they trade the game. I hope they do a game in Africa. I hope they do a game in China. Just keep it going. Don't just stick to one place and be stuck in one place like the NFL.
Excuse me. First of all, they did have an African baseball team in the Little League World Series.
That's true. I said yes, but they don't take like a baseball team. Like, they don't have a Yankees game. Like, it's not like this. You see what I mean? Like, they don't have a Yankees game in London or a Red Sox game in London. You know what I mean? Like, take the team and go places. Like,
Cuba.
Yeah, I'll be specific. Take your big name teams, your Lakers, your Warriors, your different teams. Take them to other places. Like, I know it'll probably be a logistical nightmare to get them to China and have the games on East Coast time. I'm not saying that, but you can take them to Africa and the other countries too. But yeah, Trey, you go ahead. We're on your reaction, not your analysis of the Sixers Celtics game from last night, but your reaction to the NBA having their first game in London. Go right ahead. And welcome back, my man.
Well, yes, it is good to be back. It's been probably a month or so, maybe more. But I think it's cool. I mean, like you were saying, Kylan, the NBA is probably the most, if you think about sports, the NBA is probably the most global. You have a lot of NBA players that are like if they go to China, like, it's like, it's amazing how many fans they have, but I wouldn't say it's as global as like a sport like soccer, or even baseball. I guess you have the global, baseball is more so. You have a lot of foreign players coming over here to play rather than a lot of our teams going over there to play, like going to China and having a baseball game, that type of thing. But good that the game is NBA. The NBA is kind of reaching out more and more and becoming more and more global. The NFL has been doing games in London at Wimbledon Field for 5 years now, something like that, with their international thing that they're trying to do. And I mean, I think it's good business. It's good for the sport. And so, I mean, and I think it's all it was all the better that it was the Sixers and the Celtics. Unfortunately, the Sixers weren't able to win that game, but, I'm not really getting into the analysis. I think the fact that the NBA is branching out more and more and becoming so much more global. If you go back to, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. There was I guess NBA TV did it, but there's a story, probably like an hour and a half story about the 1992 Dream Team. And in that story, they talked about, like, Charles Barkley. I don't know about Michael, but I know a bunch of the other guys. They talked about the difference in game and in, like, if you go overseas and play, like, in a Euro League or that type of thing. And it was just like the level of competition just wasn't really there. But now, you as the league has evolved, you got guys like Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, he's been in the league for years, but you got even recently you have Porzingis, and you got a lot of Saric on the Sixers. You got a lot of foreign players coming from EuroLeague, so almost obligatory that the NBA go more global in terms of in uh, having games, outside of London and not just, and having games during the regular season, uh, overseas, just because no, it's the National Basketball Association and national speaking about the United States. It has, and each team and each individual player a lot of times have individual. They have their own fans over there. So, for example, LeBron James goes over to China. You had Yao Ming, who is a foreign player who was playing in the NBA, but and I can't. His name is slipping my mind, but there's another guy who's still playing overseas. China. He's a huge fan base in China, but I think it's good that the NBA is going more global, and the fact that they're having their first game in London is great. Great news, great business.
All right, y'all. Like I said, it's been like a month. Trey has made moves and different things, but he's back this weekend. We're happy for that. Uh, so moving right along. What's our reaction, guys, to Baltimore kids in Baltimore, Maryland, with no heat in the building? We're gonna start with our school's advocate over here. If y'all follow her on Facebook, you know what I mean. Our school's advocate over here, Amina. Go ahead, Amina.
That was crazy. I didn't know I was a school advocate. Thanks for the shout out. But yeah, I found out about it maybe 2 weeks ago, going on 3 weeks ago, just about. A little birdie that I know that actually lives in the area with her children and everything told me that, oh yeah, did you know that the schools here in Baltimore don't have working heating systems? And she said that it was not just pockets of schools, it's like a lot of them. And I said, no. I said, I believe you, but let me go do my research to get more information about this. Turns out she was not only telling the truth, but it was even deeper than I even thought. So, Baltimore, Maryland, roughly 60-65% black population has no working heating systems in a majority of their schools, come to find out, but yet they have the finances for the county jail and the youth detention center. Um, this just goes back to the situation that's going on all over the country with gentrification in the major cities, where they're trying in every means possible to push the blacks out of the major cities, push them to the suburbs, and send the Caucasians back from the suburbs into the inner cities, which is happening all over the country. Philadelphia, for example. Um, Baltimore, I think me strongly, I believe with this heating situation, it's sort of kind of like what I told Kylan off air this past week. It kind of reminds me of the Flint situation where the elected officials they caused the situation, they know it's going on, they're not going to do anything about it, and they're trying every which way possible to get the black folks out of Baltimore. Baltimore is it's a historically black city. I mean, you got Morgan State University there. You got the Blacks and Wax Museum. You got the slave ports that we came in on the ships there. Baltimore is a heavily populated, historically black city. And you got Howard University in nearby DC. You don't get no more black than the DMV. With that being said, it's valuable land and properties there, from what I see posted on Facebook from people that I know in the DMV, they're selling houses, there for a few $1,000s that are, entire blocks. Just buy them up and fix them, and they sell them for astronomical amount of prices that we can't afford. So it's gentrification at its best and finest. And it's kind of messed up because we send our children to these schools and expect it to be clean, decent water, hygiene products, paper products, school supplies, equipment, this, that, and the third. We expect resources, school nurses, school police. We expect these resources, and they're not being delivered. So at the end of the day, parents are working every day, sending their children to these schools, and they think that they're decent quality, and they're not. I tell parents that don't visit their children's schools, go unannounced. As a parent or a guardian has legal custody of a child, you have the right, legal and otherwise, to go and make unannounced visits to the child or children's school with no call. You can literally go to your child's school unannounced and walk to the classroom, see what's going on.
Well, hold on. Let's before not to cut you off, Amita, but let's. I don't want to give people the wrong idea. Somebody that works in the
No,
school.
I know you can't just literally. I'm just saying you can make unannounced visits to your children's schools.
We do not want you walking around unannounced, taking liberties, because we just actually had that at my school. Nobody walks around the building, whether you're a parent, uncle, whatever,
Right?
unannounced.
You go to the office first and sign in, but outside of that, you don't have to call as a parent to come to your child's school. They're enrolled there. But outside of that, parents are not aware of what's going on in their children's school. And this just goes to show that Baltimore parents are not involved in the schools at all. You have school districts all around the country. Parents don't show up to PTA meetings. They don't show up to school board meetings. They don't show up to report card nights, back to school nights. They don't chaperone school trips. You have parents that enroll their children in the school, and the school don't see or hear from the parent at all until the child either graduates or gets transferred to another school. It's a mess, and this just goes to show, because if parents knew about this a long time ago, I'm pretty sure they would have known about it. But as with most of these schools in the inner city, things go on. The schools are falling apart. A whole lot of black children are going to schools in buildings that are old, school buildings that are 50, 75, 100 plus years old, and the heating systems are aging out. Heating systems, they don't last forever. They have to be replaced, or the school has to be moved. It's truly ridiculous. I mean, in Baltimore, it's not that far from Philadelphia. Not even a 2-hour drive if you want to get there quickly. It's been freezing cold outside for the last few weeks. We've had basically sometimes sub-zero degree weather, snowstorms, ice rain. It's like what is truly going on? It's just about the money at this point. It's really ridiculous, and the situation needs to get fixed because children do not deserve this. This will not go on in the suburban schools where parents are actively involved every day with their children's school lives. Get involved in your children's school life or they'll suffer, just like the Baltimore school children are. Somebody else can say something.
Right down the line. Go ahead, Trey. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm sorry. Um, so when I heard about this, I was like, I mean, I wasn't necessarily surprised because I'm sure there's some schools in Philly that had that, they have that issue. I know for a fact. I went to a private Christian school, and we were a small school that didn't have a lot of money, and our building was really old. The pipes would freeze up in the winter, AC didn't work properly in the summer, and the heat didn't work properly in the winter. So I mean, we had to wear coats and all that type of stuff in the winter. Um, and this is in Delaware, but as far as Baltimore goes, um, I mean, I haven't been to Baltimore personally, but I know some people that live down in Baltimore, and I've been down in Anacostia, right on the river. And there's some really bad. I mean, you think about there's some really poor areas in the DMV down, Baltimore area. But as far as Baltimore goes, and the idea that kids are having to go to school, I mean, and this past cold front that we had was, I mean, almost unbearable. School and no, like either these kids should not be in school, or somebody's got to do something about the heat. A lot of it has to do with, it's just under resourced areas, and is not properly um, to schools in the area. And some of it is like Amina is saying, the idea that the parents aren't really involved. If the parents are involved, I don't know if there's. I mean, I imagine that a lot of the public and even private schools have parent-teacher, whatever you call them, or whatever. Not parent-teacher conferences, but like the PT. It's like a board of parents and stuff in the school, and they can sit down and somewhat of a say in terms of things that go on in the school within their that type of thing. But if the parents are involved, things like this are less likely to happen, because they say, they walk into the building themselves and they notice, hey, something needs to be done about this. If it's just the kids in school, and if the teachers aren't going to say nothing about it, and the kids, I mean, they're just going to come home and say, hey, it's cold in school. I need to, wear my coat or whatever. Do anything about it if the school district is not properly funding all these schools. Unfortunate that kids got to go to school with no heat when it's wind chills of -10, and some of these kids got to take the bus. So a lot of these kids got to take the bus, which is unfortunate. A lot of this comes down to poor distribution of wealth. It has a lot to do with poor distribution of wealth among the school district, and to me, it's unacceptable that, I mean, like I said, I went to a school where, in summer AC didn't work properly, in the winter the heat didn't work properly. So I understand that, right? And it was an old building, the pipes were free, that type of thing. Okay, I understand that, but there was an effort. Mind you, this is a private school. There was an effort being made by the board and the staff and the faculty to get something done about it. But as Amina pointed out, if the parents aren't involved in the school, and if the faculty and staff don't have motivation to do anything about it, even if they're cold themselves, then nothing gets done, and kids got to go to school. Freezing cold. They're wearing the coats, and I think I heard one story. It might be the same story that we're talking about. That I think one of the teachers actually bought a bunch of heaters or whatever to bring into the classrooms because it was just that cold and nobody was doing anything about it. So, I mean, that's my little piece on that.
Andre?
Mm-hmm. I think it's totally absurd that how can you have schools with no heat? Like, that's just the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, first of all, nobody city officials should get paid if the kids are going to school with no heat. Like, that is just, it's ludicrous. in 2018. And the president should be the first one interested. If the governor, the mayor, the council people are not getting involved and saying, no, we got to stop this. There's no way in the world we're going to allow this to go on. The teachers should say, listen, we're not going to teach the kids in this kind of weather or this kind of condition. You know, it just shows a lack of empathy and sympathy towards the kids. And I'm so disgusted with them. Those principals. I mean, I applaud the people that did something about it, but you just can't allow that to go on at all. Like, you really got to speak up and let your voice be heard. Make sure that should be a problem that happens like for a day. That's it. If it goes on longer than that, that's ludicrous.
Go ahead, Matt.
Being as though that, how in the world you want to learn anything in a cold classroom? That's my only question. How do you expect to learn, let alone do your job in anything in the cold conditions where conditions are supposed to be favorable, i.e., I don't know, warm?
See, that's not to cut you off, but to play devil's advocate. So that's the problem with y'all. It builds character. That's what it does. It builds character.
Sit down and eat it, okay? It builds character. You're dealing with people's children, man. And you don't sit there and say, well, you know,
just to be clear, you know that's what somebody's saying. Just to be clear, I'm playing, but you know that's somebody's argument.
That may be true, but still, that's somebody's children. That's people's children you get to work out for. God forbid somebody gets sick, someone has a health ailment that is listed, just to name a few, and it is hopefully the school district's responsibility to make sure that building is boiler room, heating, and whatever have you should be fixed. If it's not, parents should be notified. Everybody in the mouth should be notified. If it's a temporary situation, it's a temporary situation, and it shouldn't last for no more than a day or two. It shouldn't happen for an elongated period of time. So I'm gonna keep it brief, straight to the point. It is the school district's responsibility to make sure that adequate heating and the light should have been fixed. If it was something wrong with the heating or something like that, proper people should have been notified, and it should have been fixed right away. Plain and simple. I mean, you got too many kids with health issues and concerns and the like. There's no excuse. None.
Listen, y'all. I'm with everybody on the panel. There's no excuse, especially as a city in Baltimore. I know it's not as big as Philadelphia, geographically and location-wise, but you gotta get your stuff up. As far as making sure your kids are safe, because that's a lawsuit, man. If that happens anywhere else, like in Philadelphia or New York, that's a freaking lawsuit. Like that is a freaking lawsuit. And it's amazing what these people can get away with. And I find it appropriate to first and foremost say this. I'm glad to have the family back together. We're fully together again, minus Courtney, who's flying back from Indiana. But I do have, because I find it important to get the local perspective, and this is Courtney's home area, because she's from the Baltimore metro area. So I feel it appropriate to share an approved quote from her. She was hopping mad that she couldn't get in here to talk about her local school district, but whatever. So, she says This is a couple quotes from her. She says she's very upset about the Philadelphia school district. My bad, the Baltimore school district and or Baltimore City Public Schools, because they don't call them school districts. That's what they're called, BCPS. Uh, and she's very upset. And she thinks that it's very foolish of them to be able to afford to open up a new youth detention center, but not have heat in your school. And that's just the long and short of what she said. So, and that's somebody that's from the area, right? And here's how I feel being an hour and a half to 2 hours away up I-95 from Baltimore. This is how I feel about it. Baltimore needs to do better. This is the home of Carmelo Anthony. This is the area of Carmelo Anthony, Montel Williams, Jada Pinkett Smith. This is the city of The Wire. This is the city of multiple things being shot there. This is the city that's home to Under Armour. Surely somebody with money should have been able to figure out, oh my goodness, we don't have money for our school districts. Why don't we ask the local businesses that are around here, the Under Armours of the world, the FX networks of the world, to do some things. Why don't we talk to the Baltimore Ravens? I'm sure they love charity. The one thing I'll give the school district is credit for here in Philadelphia, they work very well with the sports teams. I'm not here to judge what Baltimore does. I don't live there. I don't know if they have I assume they do have a working relationship with the home football team, but I don't know, right? That's why networks are important, right? That's why parenting is important. Parents, like Amina said, go to your schools, PTA associations. I think that's the organization Trey was looking for. PTA associations need to get on your stuff, man, because these are schools that we pay for. This is public money, or not me, but the city of Baltimore, citizens in Baltimore, white, black, or whatever. This is what you pay for. Have a vested interest in these children, because children are the future. And we live in a country where we can pay for wars, but we can't adequately fund our schools. We can pay for tax cuts, but we can't adequately fund schools. Schooling should not change based on where you live. It shouldn't be that way in a country that's not as 45 would call it, a shithole. And I'm sorry for the language, but I find that we need to be accurate with quotes here. So excuse me by people that are cursing sensitive. But some in places like this is something that I expect in countries that are not adequately funded, right? This is not something that I expect from quote unquote the number one country in the world, right? But it is what it is. But Baltimore should be ashamed of themselves. This is not the only thing that we're going to get on Baltimore for in this podcast, but Baltimore should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed that they allowed that to go on in the week when it was -0. With it not even -0, because that doesn't exist. Absolute zero outside, where it felt like we lived in freaking Minnesota and Wisconsin instead of Baltimore, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Prince George County, New York City, Boston, Massachusetts. Well, New England doesn't count. It's always cold up there. But, it is what it is, right? So, Baltimore, be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm a hold back on the anger because we got a lot of angering topics coming up. So, I'm just going to keep it chill. And we're just going to move on to something that angers all of us. The 76ers blowing the lead. All right, guys, 76ers versus Celtics in London analysis. I know it was early. I know some of y'all were at work or in transit when this game was going on, because the game wrapped up about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening yesterday. So, but what's y'all analysis on this game? The Sixers blew a lead. There's something you can start on. Go ahead, Matt. Matt, you there? All right, maybe he stepped out. Go ahead, Andre.
Come back to me on this. Come back.
All right, Trey.
Yeah, you're right. I did not. I was. I think I was at work while the game was going on. But I did get a chance to look at some of the highlights. What I will say is, sorry, I'm in Walmart. um, what I will say is that, I mean, it's expected that as a young team that they're going to face some struggles during the season. I fully expect that they will make the playoffs because they got a lot of talent. Crayola crap. As a young team, they're gonna, they're gonna have bad games, that type of thing, and you can't expect them to play like they're the Spurs or, you know, um, like they're the Warriors because they're not. And if you think about it, this is really their first year with everybody together. Um, the Because I mean, last year Joel Embiid only played 30 games. Ben Simmons didn't play, so I mean, they've only got what, something like 30, 35 games under their belt as a full unit, and they still don't have everybody healthy, because Markelle Fultz is not playing. So it's only expected that they're going to have games like this where, unfortunately, they blow a big lead, that type of thing. I mean, and it's just as simple as the fact that they're a young team and they're still building chemistry. And I think this year they'll make the playoffs, and they might even get to a game or two in the first round of the playoffs. But other than that, they're not really going to do anything. Next year is the big year where you say, okay, let's see what kind of step they're going to take forward. Um, and if they're a young team, they're going to lose some. They're going to lose some games, and they're going to let some games go. Also, coaching, I think, has been lacking. Uh, I kind of wanted to see what Brett Brown had as a coach, and ironically, and I'm sure your dad, Kylan, probably was saying the same thing about Brett Brown, is that Brett Brown has got to go. And I was holding on for Brett Brown, but I think it might be time, um, and it might be better to do it this season rather than wait till the end of the season. Um, but the guy that my dad really likes, and I think actually would be a good option, is Mark Jackson. But so, it's as simple as this: the Sixers are a young team, and they're trying to build chemistry this season. They're going to make the playoffs. Is the 738 seed, and sorry about that, y'all. My earbuds fell out my ear. They're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to have some games like this every once in a while. So that's it.
Amina.
I agree with Trey said about how they're not, like Spurs or the Warriors, or how the Sixers, I'm speaking of, how they have it in them to succeed, they have it in them to go far, but for the most part this season, which is a known fact, they cannot close out games. They struggle typically in that fourth quarter usually. The coaching is not really there at times, but they do have it in them where I believe if they can get those kinks out of their system, that they may possibly be a playoff contender in the near future, but not right now. Celtics, they did what they usually do. They go out there and win, and hey, they're on the ball. I mean, they're the number one team in the NBA right now. Um, Back to the Sixers. Yeah, they got to get it together as far as that fourth quarter situation. The games, it goes well for them when they win games in their first, second, and third quarter. But for some reason, it's like they think they have the game in that third quarter, then they blow leads, then these games. So it will tremendously help them if they got some serious coaching where they learn the concept that the game is not over when the fourth quarter comes. The game is over when the buzzer sounds. So if they could get that kink worked out, then they'll be on their true road to success. And back to the Celtics, they did what they did and usually win games, especially this season. So very predictable game from where I sit. Somebody else can say something.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something right now. First of all, last time I checked, when you play an NBA basketball game, you play 48 minutes. 48 minutes of pure, unadulterated basketball. Your job is to win the game. I did not see the game but thank God I got the app, okay? And the thing is, you can't look. The Sixers. This is not the first time they've been doing this. This is becoming an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing problem, and it has to get fixed right away. I still maintain the fact that this team is going to the playoffs. Okay, this team is going, but they need to learn how to finish the game. You start with a lead, you end with one. You can. Granted, the Boston Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA, particularly in the East. And that's a team, particularly if you're a Sixer fan, you must beat. You must beat the Celtics. That is your rival going far back as the 50s, okay? Wilt versus Bill. That's a deep rivalry, okay? But what the Sixers need to do at this point is to learn how to finish games. This is an ongoing problem. This has been an ongoing problem for a long time now. And I haven't seen a whole lot of games this year because of my location, but I'm working on it. But other than that, what this team needs to learn how to do is finish games. Yes, we know Embiid and Simmons, they're crazy good. Crazy good. Okay. And we know they can play together. However, we don't know. I'm going to say we don't know. It goes down to this. You have to finish the game. You got to have that killer instinct. And right now, it's there, but it's all coaching. When it boils down to it, it's all coaching. Brett Brown has to do a better job with coaching at the end of the games, particularly when the lead is starting to slip away. You cannot play for 36 minutes and next you know, after 12 minutes left to go, you give up the lead. Or midway through the third, you give up the lead. You can't do that. This is unacceptable. But we're trusting the process. You're trusting the process. I'm still patient with them, but it's something that this team needs to work on. Point blank.
Dre? All right, well, Andre must be having technical difficulties again. Let me see. 76 versus Celtics. All right. I saw the game. I saw bits and pieces of it. I was able to get home and see some of it. The Sixers were at one point up by at least 34, close to 40 points, right? And I think that was like midway through the third quarter. And so at that point, when I saw they were up by 40, no, 22. By that point, they were up by a full 22 points. And I assumed the game was over. My mistake. I forgot who I was watching. I was watching the Philadelphia 76ers. And with the Philadelphia 76ers, much like any team from Georgia, no lead is safe. And, the Philadelphia 76ers, they were flying high. or riding high, Embiid was doing his thing. Ben Simmons was showing out. But once again, lack of being prepared, inefficient preparation. Basically, this team has been stuck. This is my analysis of the situation. This team has been stuck losing so long, they don't know how to win. So when they get too much success, like, say, a 22, 12, 16, 30-point league, you have to remember that the 76ers are not used to winning marquee games. Like, the last marquee game they won was against the Knicks in Christmas Day. At Christmas Day, and even that was a cardiac arrest game because it felt like they kept trying to lose that game too. So, the Sixers have to, like Matt said, they gotta be in bigger games. They gotta learn how to win. Like everybody said, they gotta learn how to win. But it's definitely a coaching problem. It's definitely a chemistry problem. It's definitely Embiid and Simmons not taking over the leadership role like they need to, not being consistent. Somebody has to be the consistent down the stretch scorer, and it can't be JJ Redick all the dang time. I love JJ Redick, great player. Don't like the fact that he went to Duke, but great player because nobody likes Duke basketball. But great player, great basketball IQ. But he cannot be your go-to guy in the last 2 minutes of a game. That is something that Embiid or Simmons has to do. And if Embiid and Simmons can't do it, then they need to get Markelle Fultz back ASAP because somebody got to be the alpha in the last couple minutes to seal the game, because that's what all teams have, the alpha that seals the game, and if it's a Brett Brown problem, then fire him at the end of the season. Go get Mark Jackson. See if Jeff Gundy wants to come back. If Jeff Van Gundy wants to come back and coach like John Gruden did. Get somebody in there that understands how to coach potential. And Mark Jackson, as Trey said, would be a great hire. But all I got out this game is that the Sixers, they are ready for prime time, but they can't hold the lead. And in the playoffs, I feel like I'm going to be feeling like, instead of a Philadelphia team, I'm watching a Georgia team, because I'm just going to be feeling like there's going to be leads blown every playoff game. So I need them to get the right coach, get somebody in there that understands how to coach up young talent. I'm not saying Brett Brown is a bad coach. I just feel like Brett Brown is more ready for established talent. We're not there yet. This is not an established team yet. And it's just time to admit that. And give Brett Brown the whole season. Maybe in the second half of the season, he'll grow and be able to recognize his mistakes. But right now, it's just not looking good for him at the end of this year, man. Yeah, Andre, you there? Guess not. Moving right along, we kind of get.
Go ahead, Tyler.
The 76ers, bro.
76ers Celtics game.
Man, with the 76ers, all I gotta say is fire Brett Brown. I'm so sick of the status he got us at. Like, I really wish that I'm right there and say they just gotta make a change at head coach. And we still ain't get to the All-Star game yet. But I'm disgusted just how they keep losing games. Like, you got a 22-point lead, and you can't keep that. The Boston Celtics, they pretty good this season, but that ain't the Golden State Warriors, man. Come on, man. They got to make some changes. They got to make them quick. And B, got to stop shooting threes and get more in the paint, especially when you, on a drought for a minute where you didn't score and he's shooting threes. That's the best way. And the way they run plays, they looking at TJ McConnell to save the day, and you got two, not one. You actually got three, but one's not playing, so we can't count him. You got two number 1 round picks, first draft picks. It just seems like they don't care, and like everybody said, it looks like they tanking again. Okay, I understand they're a young team and they got to gel together and all that. But no. They gotta progress further along than they doing. They went up on ticket sales. You go up on ticket sales, you gotta go on production. Period.
All right, sorry, y'all. All right, y'all. It's time to go to our Alabama Georgia analysis. And we're just gonna say this because I technically already gave mine, but I'll start. Alabama, Georgia. I mean, Georgia. Basically, here's what I'm gonna say. Georgia got away from what brought them to the dance. What brought Georgia to the dance was that Pittsburgh Steelers style: run it down their throats, control the clock, and we win the game offense. And Kirby Smart got too cute. Uh, he was out coaching. He was out coaching his mentor and outgunning his mentor, but he outsmarted himself. He played himself, a la DJ Khaled. Man, he played himself and out coached himself out of a championship win, out of a story ending to a first season. That's what he did, man, and he didn't use their senior rushing back duo, and he lost the game. Now, all credit, as I said earlier, given to Nick Saban and the offensive coordinator for deciding, you know what, we're gonna put this freshman into the game, Tua Tagovailoa, and we're just gonna or Tagovailoa, and we're just going to just or Big T as I like to call him, and anybody in this podcast can use that nickname if you're struggling with the last name. But putting Big T in the game and having that, like I said earlier, open the offense, and that's what won them the game. Basically, I mean, Big T and that defense showing up, but all because of Big T re-energizing and making that throw that should not have happened, and Georgia's safety blowing the coverage. I mean, had all that not happened, but ultimately that man had to make that throw, and instead of making Nick Saban look like an idiot, Big T made him look like a genius. I mean, that's all I can really say. Oh yeah, Georgia team, stop blowing leads. You're almost as bad as you're worse. You're worse than the 76ers when it comes to holding a lead. A couple teams I can't trust. Anybody from Georgia and the Philadelphia 76ers with big leads. Go ahead, Matt. Matt? Okay. Andre doesn't watch college football. Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, so I actually did not get a chance to watch the first half, but I think all of or most of the second half, and that game, it was a totally different game in the second half. They went from kind of ground. I mean, they did get their running game going in the second half. They did have a few really good runs, but really what won them that game in the second half was the fact that they had a quarterback in there that could stretch the field and with his arm, um, and I don't want to get too hyped about him, but when I was watching him, I'm sitting there and I'm like, he plays a little bit like Russell Wilson. He's calm, cool, and collected. He's a freshman, didn't have any live game experience, but he did remind me of Russell Wilson, how he came into that game. But it was 3 touchdowns against the Georgia Bulldogs defense. Georgia Bulldogs, SEC defense is great, period. But he comes in there and throws 3 touchdowns in the second half and wins the national. And then not only does he throw 3, his last one is the game-winning touchdown. And it was a rope, a straight rope. So I thought it was a very good game. Georgia did with, for some reason, something up with Georgia teams, and they can't seem to hold a lead. You had the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and now you got Georgia just can't seem to hold a lead. But there's something special about I can't even, I just call him Tag. or Tua. But it was a fun game to watch in the second half of what I watched, and it was a national championship game that ended in overtime, and you can't really ask for much more than that. There's a lot of players on that field that are leaving and entering the NFL draft, so a lot of. But as we know, Nick Saban is going to go down as. I mean, when I look at the Crimson Tide, what I think of is the Patriots immediately, right? And the only difference between the Patriots or there's two differences, obviously. Between the Patriots and the Crimson Tide is obviously two different levels of football, college and professional. But the main difference that I see, or similarity, is that both teams have had somewhat dynasties in their respective level of football. The main difference is that you don't have all the controversy that you do with the Patriots that you do with Alabama. Alabama doesn't have much controversy, and it's even though I've kind of gotten a little bit of fatigue with Alabama winning. It's always good to see that. I'm never like, no, I hate Alabama. On the other hand, I don't like the Patriots. But it's cool to see that dynamic of how Alabama has kind of done their own thing and created their own football dynasty in college football with Nick Saban, and how, you could probably take his backups, put them in, all of his backups. Just say, hey, this game, none of the starters are playing. We're putting all our backups in, and he probably could still go out and still have a successful season. So I mean, it was a good game all around. Georgia just didn't do what they were supposed to do and didn't hold on to that lead and end up losing it. But I think it looked as if at halftime, and Nick Saban makes that decision to bench Jalen Hurts, everybody rallied around Tua, the quarterback that he benched, that they put in. And I'm telling you, man, this dude is special, all right? And I'm watching him play, and I'm like, this kid's a freshman, no live game experience, and he's not. It's not like he comes into a game against, that one or those 2 or 3 games where Alabama plays the really bad teams in college, and then they blow them out by 50 points. He's playing against the Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship game, and he comes out and balls out for 2 quarters. So I'm looking forward to what they got, but it was a good game to watch.
All right. If somebody else wants to jump into this college football,
I'm going to jump. Look, based on I didn't see the game, unfortunately, because cable and Comcast got me in the balls. So I'm gonna say it this way. This is what happens when you don't close leads. This is when you have a lead in the second half. The biggest thing to do, you don't want someone say, okay, I'm going to try to protect this lead, but you got to play ball control. That's where it boils down to, ball control. But enough about Georgia. The thing was Nick Saban. He made a gutsy call, and that was to change his quarterback. And after Alabama's offense was like pretty much pedestrian, and then by making that quarterback change, to do that was gutsy and ballsy in the sense in and of itself. But it shows for that football team the meaning of next man up, and that's what happened there. Honestly, I did not expect that performance from a true freshman quarterback in a pressure situation such as the national championship. I'll admit it. That was unexpected, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers didn't lie there. So I'll admit it's a game I wish I did see, but thank you, NCAA. You got your money. Go screw yourself and whatever. But it was a good game nonetheless. That I never saw. Sorry.
All right, guys, we're gonna change the question for number 6 because we kind of already answered it. So, a more interesting question. So, guys, every college football national title game won't be as interesting, but bear with me with this question. Do you think that the college football national championship title game, and this is a question from Tuesday, I think, but most of y'all were working or doing something else, so you wasn't able to come to the national title game podcast. But do you think that the college football national title game can be the equivalent of the Super Bowl in college sports? And I feel like that's about to get insane. So I'm going to start with my argument here. I will admit, I do not. I think that it can be Super Bowl light for college sports because with college football, it's really only two big college sport moneymakers, that being March Madness and the BCS, now the college football national title game. And this game has something that we haven't seen in a while. Kendrick Lamar, it was built around, the two teams, Alabama and Georgia, but it was also built around Kendrick Lamar being the first big college football national title game performer, and off of Black Panther. Now, you won't always have a big Disney movie release like Black Panther that has all the hype because it has a majority black cast. But there were commercials there. And I know college football is a more niche audience. I mean, heck.
I gotta stop you there because actually that Black Panther trailer was out months before that trailer came out on that football game. So I ain't trying to hear that. That trailer was out months ago.
All right, but that was a fuller and newer trailer. That trailer was out months ago. It was pieces of the same trailer, but there were some different parts in there. But I get your point. But that's why I say, granted, not everything's going to be built around a big hype fest coming out Black History Month, whereas I've officially termed it Black Panther Month next month, right? So there won't always be that. But even still, I think that college football, the national title game, can be the football, the collegiate sport version of the Super Bowl. Now, again, it's not as big of a moneymaker as the Super Bowl. There's not as many eyes on it because it's a more niche audience. But still, it is a big, big game. I mean, the national title game and March Madness, the only thing that really beats March Madness, the only three things I think that beat March Madness are what you would expect: the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, and sometimes the World Series. Most of the time, the World Series. Like, those are the three things that I'll do March Madness and the college football national title game. But it's always top 5. So it's definitely up there with the ratings and the money it makes. So it definitely can be the Super Bowl of college football. Now, will it ever be bigger than the Super Bowl? Of course not, right? Nothing's ever going to be bigger than the Super Bowl. But it can be for college football players, especially if they keep up the good halftime performance. Because for real, to me, like, if you would have told me that, okay, you're going to have Kendrick Lamar doing a halftime show and you're going to have Justin Timberlake and friends doing the halftime show of the Super Bowl, which one would you rather watch? I would say 10 times out of Sunday, even though I love JT, I'm always going to pick Kendrick Lamar, right? So I honestly think, just based on that, and this is just my opinion, this is just one Philadelphian and hip-hop fan's opinion, I like the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, even though I haven't even seen Justin Timberlake's show yet. I think Kendrick Lamar is a better performer than Justin Timberlake. That's just my opinion. But I definitely think that this game, and I haven't seen the Super Bowl yet, but right now, at the start of 2018, this is the most competitive championship game I've seen all of 2018. And depending on who makes the Super Bowl will depend on whether it's a competition or not. And we basically already know who's going to be in the finals, and that depends on how much the Warriors feel like killing the whoever they get.
Stay in your lane.
Listen, but for right now, in 2018, on January 12th, I think that right now, this is the most competitive championship game I've seen between Alabama and Georgia because it went to overtime. And I don't think there's ever been, or in recent memory, I'm sure Matt will correct me because he's a sports historian, if there's ever been an overtime in the Super Bowl before. I don't know if there's ever been. But I doubt that there'll be many overtime games.
That was the only one.
Huh? There's only been one? Okay. So, yeah.
That was the only one that was last year.
Okay. There's not many overtime football games that you get. And so, just based on that, so far in 2018, this is the best championship game that I've seen. So, I'll leave it at that. And yes, it can be the equivalent of the Super Bowl, but I don't think it will ever surpass it. But it can be in college sports. Go ahead, Matt. I'm interested to hear your opinion on this.
I'm sorry to tell right now. Honestly, I disagree with your assertion. I disagree with the fact that it'll be bigger or just as big as the Super Bowl. Because frankly, the Super Bowl is a Super Bowl, and you're going to sit here and try to tell me the fact that the national championship is going to be bigger and better. I think not, because as far as this committee is everything is concerned, oh hell no. No. I'm not gonna allow this. I'm not gonna allow this travesty. I'm not gonna sit here and oh Lord, here we go.
Before you go on your tangent, I will never be better than the Super Bowl. I said, could it be the equivalent of the Super Bowl?
Oh hell no. Oh hell no. No. Equivalency? No. Never that. Full darn well that's not gonna happen. As far as I know, there's too much politics in college football right now. You know this. You know what's going on. And this playoff system is a fraudulent thing, okay? First of all, and I really agree with this, that UCF should be the national champions right now because they have an undefeated record, and it should be not at number 6, in my opinion, according to this preseason poll that just came out, okay? So that's number 2. To sit here and be the equivalency of the Super Bowl is no. The Super Bowl is a whole different monster in and of itself. It took 52 years to get to this point. Just remember, let's not forget Super Bowl 1, or the what's it called? The first World Championship AFL versus NFL, aka Super Bowl 1, that was sparsely attended. Sparsely. So, and it took 52 years to get to this point. And with the halftime performances and everything else, including Michael Jackson popping out in Super Bowl 25, 6, 7, Rose Bowl, 7, 8, 9, 29, 28, 27, yes. So, no, just no. College is college. Super Bowl is Super Bowl. It may be synonymous, but no. And on top of that, you're gonna make money off these amateur athletes who is having a college education. Let's call it for what it is. It's minor league football at its best, okay? And we will not diminish that. But what about these other bowl games? The Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the Peach Bowl, and all these other bowl games, including this Independence Bowl, which happened in Shreveport like about a week or two ago. I mean, no. I'm not buying this. Just not buying this. It's to sit here and try to make it just as good, if not a notch below, better than the Super Bowl. A notch below than the Super Bowl. No. You must be drinking the wrong juice, had the wrong weed, or the wrong type of drug that you took before this podcast. I don't know what it was, but the fact of the matter is that no. This will never be on par with the Super Bowl because there's too much politics involved, particularly with this stupid playoff system, which needs to be fixed and changed again. Plain and simple. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Oh, by the way, with these conferences, like the Pac-10, the Big 12, the Big 10, etc. It's no. SEC, the SEC, yes. Go Tiger territory. GEAUX. Go Tigers territory. Bayou Bengals, whatever. No, not buying. Sorry. Next.
All right, Trey.
As far as what was it? We're still on Alabama and Georgia.
No. He's trying to say if the national championship will be on par with the Super Bowl.
Oh, well.
No, okay.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think college football, as Matt was saying, college football, national championship, and the Super Bowl are two totally different monsters, right? The Super Bowl is consistently, every time the Super Bowl happens, usually it's, the most watched event, for the whole month or for, but I think in the context of the NCAA, the National Football Championship, in NCAA, in terms of NCAA football, the championship is essentially the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, things are set up, the playoffs are set up a little bit differently, but it's essentially their Super Bowl, and it's treated as such. That as a Division I NCAA football coach, probably your number one goal is to go out and try to win a national championship. I will say it's a lot harder in NCAA football to get to a national championship game than it is in the NFL to get to the Super Bowl, because of how they now in NCAA football it's based on rankings, and you pick the top whatever team.
Man down!
Go ahead, Amina.
Matt is a mess.
America is watching you.
Yo, y'all pretty much said what needed to be said, but no, I don't see the correlation between the two. As Matt said, the NFL Super Bowl has been here for almost 60 years. It's an entire fiasco we have every year. We all look forward to it. At the halftime show, all the game, the playoffs, we look forward to it every year. So no, I can't compare any level of unpaid college or university players to professional athletes that actually have contracts and money. It's just not. I don't get the correlation, but it's a rather interesting question, however. But it's levels to this, as they say out there. It's.
I'm gonna ask this too. Let me think about this too. The NFL, okay, the National Football League, and any other entity, the Stanley Cup, the World Series. There's money involved. There is a prize involved. Okay, full darn well. No. There's prize money. There's a bonus money. When you win the Super Bowl. When you win the Super Bowl, you get you get paid a bonus, but also if you win, you get a bigger check from the NFL. You get a bigger check just for winning. You get a big raise.
Let's not act like the NCAA doesn't make billions of dollars off that.
No. I'm gonna get to them in 5 seconds. But full well when you win some big money and big raise and big hoop to do, right? When we get to college anything, okay, college basketball, college baseball with the college World Series, etc. You know full well you make like everybody knows you're making full lots of money off these athletes, okay? Because they are getting free paid labor. Oh, wait a minute, they have scholarships. And at the end of the day,
we know that's capitalism at work. Come on, socialists, pay attention.
look. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I'm not saying there's anything that I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but to make money off of I don't know unpaid labor, it's not called slavery. I'm just saying. But I digress.
It very much is, and as I said a couple weeks
It's
ago,
called volunteer work.
as I've said on this previous podcast, if you can pay. Actually, it's called. I think they would prefer indentured servitude, but whatever. If you can pay Kendrick Lamar, you can pay the players. Kendrick Lamar is not cheap, especially in Atlanta, to perform outside while Dump Truck is inside. So anyway, we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna flip some things around. We're gonna stay on football and knock out these playoff topics. And get this going. All right, y'all. Is that time. I need y'all to answer 2 questions. All right, y'all. Why are the Eagles being doubted? And then the other one is, give me your Eagles versus Falcons prediction.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm sick and tired of all these quote unquote pundits and quote unquote experts, saying, well, the Falcons are going to do this because of Nick Foles and this. No. Let me tell you something. I'm sick and tired of the fact that y'all giving the Atlanta Falcons way too much credit right now because of how they played and took care of the Rams, on the road. Okay, that's LA. That was Jared Goff. That was Todd Gurley. That was that pretty good that very good defense out there in Los Angeles. Excuse me. That was I cannot believe I'm still saying a 31-year-old head coach. I am so jealous right now. Okay, so jealous. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, you beat that team. Now you're going to Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, in South Philly. Okay, in the cold. Outside, where, oh, by the way, you have not been successful in Philadelphia in the first place. I will not take this game for granted because we've seen this before, i.e. the last game of the bet. We've seen this before. I'm not taking anything for granted here. But let's not forget, this defense is one of the best defenses in football, one of the best red zone defenses in football, one of the best teams in turnover differentials, producing turnovers, and their third down defense. And yeah, have you forgotten? We have a first round bye. We have not played in almost 2 weeks. So, according to what I'm hearing from Nick Foles, watching the Doug Peterson press conferences and everything else, I have never seen this team so focused on completing the task. This team will beat the Falcons, plain and simple. I don't want if y'all think otherwise, y'all can see me at 4:35 Eastern Time, 3:35 Central. Because I'm telling you right now, this defense will stand up. Okay, and y'all forgotten. Some of y'all forgotten when we played against the Cowboys. Y'all forgot we sat down a lot of our starters. Many of our starters. Some play, some did not. So, if y'all take stock on the fact of the Dallas Cowboys and what we did against the Cowboys, y'all done lost your cotton picking mind. Y'all lost your damn minds. Y'all know that y'all lost your last marble and y'all had too much weed, you had too much, whatever the case may have you. Y'all probably got drunk while watching that game. That game, the other game. I'm gonna shut up and sit down and say this here. This team will win. They're going to win this game. They are going to the NFC Championship game and win that game. And this team is going to the Super Bowl. I don't try to make this claim, but this team is going to win. This is going to win tomorrow, and they're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness! This team, just based on interviews and how they practice, have made Matt say the dreaded word that he has not said in about 10 years: Super Bowl and Eagles in the same sentence. My goodness! My goodness! My goodness! Well, listen, y'all about to get the full level of how our process works. Before we finish this question, I just realized that the Eagles play tomorrow, and there's going to be like a whole week, a whole couple days in between before we have another podcast. Before I let Trey, Amina, and then myself answer these two questions, y'all think we should do a podcast one of these days between Sunday and Monday based on whatever happens, Lord willing, tomorrow with the Eagles and the Falcons? Sometime Sunday night or
if Monday. I'm not drunk, nothing, right?
All right, Sunday or Monday, whichever one works for y'all. Let me know before you answer your questions. For me, either day works, but I know Trey is on a retreat and probably be in transit Sunday, so maybe Monday will work. So
I'm cool with it.
Okay, so that's one vote for either day, but I know Trey will probably be in transit one of those days. So I'm cool with any day, but I know it'll probably end up being Monday. But either way, but go ahead, Trey.
What was the first question? I heard the second one.
Oh, the first question is why are the Eagles being doubted, and then the next one after that is just your prediction between the Eagles and Falcons.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, the first question is simple. People are doubting the Eagles because of the way the defense played the last couple games of the season, and the fact that the offense didn't play very well either. And I think, that line that you're seeing in Vegas of I think 4.5 points or something like that. That's why there's a lot of doubt there. Also, the Falcons were in the Super Bowl last year, although they have not played as well or anywhere near as well as they played last year. You saw a glimpse of it against the Rams. And I think that in a lot of people's minds, their playoff experience says to a lot of people, hey, this Eagles team is inexperienced in the playoffs, didn't play very well towards the end of the season. They don't have their starting quarterback. And so, typically, if you look at the last 15 Super Bowls, typically, there are exceptions. Typically, the team with a better quarterback last year, Patriots, Tom Brady, 2 years ago, who won 2 years ago? I think it was the Broncos. I think there are exceptions. So the Broncos. Peyton Manning was at the end of his career. Brock Osweiler was a great quarterback, and Cam Newton wasn't able to get enough. That's an exception. But typically, the better quarterback wins. I think this is an example of where people are favoring the Falcons purely because in terms of who's the better quarterback, Matt Ryan is clearly the better quarterback. However, I think this game is going to be a low score, 21-13, maybe 24-17 type of game. And I think the defense steps up and makes the plays down the stretch to help us pull out the game. Because I really firmly believe that what happened the last 3 games of the season, I think it was kind of post-traumatic stress disorder.
and after everybody, after Carson Wentz was injured, and I think after kind of 2 weeks, kind of sit down, get hyper focused, playing the Falcons and getting hyper focused on playoff football and getting your mind right. I think that they will have gotten over their PTSD and Wentz being injured and not being able to play with him. I think Nick Foles comes out and I think it's going to be a little bit warm. Right? As far as I know, it's going to be a little bit warmer than it has been. Obviously, today it's like 55. But I think Nick Foles does, and we win this game. Now, going forward, in terms of, NFC Championship and Super Bowl, I don't know. What we have to wait and see is when it comes down to it, is Nick Foles able to make a play with his arm to get down the field and get that game-winning field goal or that game-winning touchdown. But that's down the road. I think as of now, right now, we are a better team than the Atlanta Falcons, and we will be tomorrow at 4:35. We will win the game, I believe. But going forward, we'll see what happens as far as how we play after we win this game. How we play in the national the NFC Championship game that we can make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Amina.
People put doubt into this team. I would say because the fact that the coach has only been here 2 years, the Carson Wentz injury, Nick Foles not really playing football too frequently lately, just past expectations out of the Eagles organization that go unmet when it counts the most, especially later on as the season progresses. It's just people not wanting to put all their eggs in one basket. But this team is special. I mean, I can honestly say right now that I could see them honestly winning the city's first Super Bowl come next month. And I don't know how Philly, the city's going to react to it. I have a hunch, but they really do have it in them. I mean, they only have to win the game tomorrow and one more game after that, and then it's off to the Super Bowl in Minnesota. So they just have to win two more games, and they're going to the Super Bowl. It's a long time coming for a team that has never won a Super Bowl to come this far and still standing strong. But they honestly really do have it in them, and I don't see them not winning tomorrow. I actually see them surprising their fan base and the city with how they're going to win against the Falcons. I see the Falcons blowing a lead, maybe possibly like all Georgia teams seem to do these days. But it's going to be a great game tomorrow. I mean, in Atlanta, they may have a little bit of a flurry situation here and there with snow and all that, and have, some cold weather, but Atlanta's weather is not like Philadelphia's weather, and football teams typically don't do well in climates that aren't where their home stadium is. And as of tomorrow, and especially going to Sunday, the winter weather is going to be back here in Philadelphia, and the Falcons are going to be struggling with how to play in a field in Pennsylvania. So, yeah, I see the Falcons going back home with a loss and being booted from the playoffs. But that's what I gotta say. Falcon. Oh yeah, the other thing, Falcons. They're not playing as strong as they did last season, as Trey has said. I noticed that too. But that's what I have to say.
All right. let me just say this. The reason why people are doubting, like Trey and like Amina, like Matt said, is because, the Eagles didn't really play well. And in their defense on Christmas against Amina's Raiders and on a couple Sundays ago in the shutout game against the Cowboys, in their defense, it was really cold that day. And that Christmas game, nobody played like they wanted to play that game. The thing also is like Amita said, they basically shut it down and basically took. If you really want to get technical, they really had 4 weeks off because they didn't show up those last 2 games anyway. They had 4 weeks off. They played the scrubs against the Cowboys, but my thing with the Eagles is this: they have the number 1 defense, the number 1 rush defense, the number 1 red zone defense, and everything else. That needs to show up and show out. Like, you could draw inspiration from so many things. You could draw inspiration from Rocky. You could draw inspiration from Creed. Draw the inspiration you need to knock the Falcons in the mouth as soon as the game starts at 4:35.
No. As soon as they walk on the field.
4:30, 4:35, 4:40, whenever. Just get ready to knock them out. Fletcher Cox, I think, set the whole locker room on fire when he said they've been doubting us all season, and they have. When we were beating people, they said, "Oh, who have you beat? You only play the teams on your schedule," but people have been doubting the Eagles. They think that whole 13-3 record is a fluke. They think we're going to get knocked out because it's Carson Wentz. They don't remember that the Eagles have the most experience and the most Super Bowls of every team in the football. And what I mean by that is they have the most people on their roster with Super Bowl rings. They have 9 players on the NFL roster with Super Bowl rings. Now, obviously, the Patriots as a whole team have Super Bowl rings from last year. But the Eagles have the most veterans on the team with Super Bowls because they have like nine people on the team with Super Bowls. And I think those are the people who the Eagles need to rely on. They need to rely on the Malcolm Jenkins of the world. Need to rely on Chris Maragos, even though he's injured, to help coordinate the special teams. Need to rely on Torrey Smith. I know Eagles fans. He's been dropping a lot of balls. He's the new Aggle drop. It's become Torrey Smith is always going to drop the ball. I understand, but he does have a ring. I just need them to show up. They're doubting us because we haven't been playing like the number 1 team in the NFL. Lord willing, tomorrow we'll prove it to them when we knock Atlanta out. I predict in Philadelphia because of that number 1 defense, and Nick Foles, I think, finds himself. I hope he finds himself. And what I think they'll go at least to the national championship game. Now, I've said on this podcast before, I think the Eagles will make the Super Bowl. I'm gonna hold on to that and say the Eagles make the Super Bowl, but they gotta get past the Falcons first. They can't be thinking about Minnesota or anything else. You gotta focus on the Falcons and put in the foot on their throat and starting early. And as long as you rely on the
one game at a time.
As long as you rely on the defense and the run game. Doug Peterson, don't get too pass happy. Run the ball. Balanced football wins football games. Balance. Run the ball. Control the clock. Do it. Just do all that and we'll win the game, hopefully, tomorrow.
No, we are going to win the game tomorrow. Don't even worry about the hope stuff. We are going to win the game. Plain and simple. I mean, I had enough disrespect. We're going to win the game.
Okay, fine. We are definitely going to win the game. I don't know what the score will be. I'm hoping 20. Well, we'll never hold the Falcons to 10 points. So 20-13, maybe 30, 20. I don't know. As long as we win, I'm happy. So moving right along to our other things, and y'all can just give y'all predictions. We're just going to run through the games. So there's Eagles and Falcons, and they're separated by days. The other game tomorrow is Patriots versus Titans. I'm going to go with Patriots because even though the Titans have a really good defense and they can run the ball, control the clock, and they have what kills Bill Belichick defenses, a mobile quarterback, I just think that the Patriots will be too much after having a couple weeks off, and they'll have to deal with Brady and Gronkowski. And I just think that that'll be too much for the Titans. So I think Patriots win that game. Go ahead, Matt.
I have to agree. I believe that the New England Patriots will beat the Tennessee Titans. They had an emotional win from last week, and I don't think it will carry over. We've seen teams that do have these types of wins from 1 week, and in the next week, after having that big win, we see a big letdown. We've seen this a lot. We've seen it time and time again. So I expect the same result to happen. New England will win this game, no doubt.
Trey?
Patriots Titans. I do like the Titans. They have very good very good defense. Good running game, and that's two things that you gotta have in the playoffs, right? However, again, no experience, right? No playoff experience. I think they have a few players on the team that do have some playoff experience. Maybe even a few players that have a Super Bowl ring. But when it comes down to it, I mean, it's Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and the Patriots. And as much as you want to talk about, all the chatter that's going on about the rift and the relationship between Belichick and Tom Brady, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna hinder them from winning a game. Winning a game against what I would say is a very mediocre and inconsistent Tennessee Titans team. One day, Tennessee Titans are, the best team in the league. The next day, they're mediocre. The next day, they're terrible. So they're just very inconsistent, and I don't see them carrying over what they did last week into this game against a very, very experienced and well-coached Patriots team.
Amila?
The Titans are done for this season. As of this weekend, this will be their last game to you in August for preseason. As you all have stated, Titans had a great run this season. They most likely won't be able to do what they did in their last game. They're playing against Tom Brady and that coach of theirs over there with the Patriots, and they're playing on the Patriots stadium, might I add. So, back to what I said about the last question concerning the Eagles and Falcons, how teams don't typically function well in climates that don't reflect where their team is from. You talk about Tennessee versus New England. That's a big, major temperature drop. Titans are going to have trouble with the ball. They're not going to be able to keep up. Tom Brady's just going to run them out of the stadium, and it's going to be in the back for them. Titans, I feel bad for them. I mean, I don't know the score. I hope it's not a massive blowout. I just hope that it's some type of decency that could be given to the Titans, but
why?
yeah,
What? Don't say you're sorry. It's the truth. Don't say you're sorry. It's the truth. It's the Patriots. Don't feel sorry for nobody. It's football. Why you want to say I'm sorry about this? It's football. Why?
I'm trying, Matt. I'm trying to be nice to everyone because I
No,
don't know.
you
I
can't be.
don't.
You can't be nice to everybody.
I
You
don't
can't
know.
be
I
nice to
don't know.
everybody.
I don't know if we have Patriots fans listening.
I don't give a rat that there's Patriots fans watching. They sucked. I don't care.
But
Shoot.
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, after all these playoffs are concerned, we just got this weekend, and then we got the conference championships the following week, and then it's over. But what?
This week we're worried about the Titans and the Patriots. We all know the Patriots going to do their thing because it's the
Oh,
Patriots. It's the machine. We know
yes,
this.
yes. But what I strongly believe is that this playoff season has a potential to land in the same two-team category that the 2005 Super Bowl was, and that was Patriots and Eagles back in 2005 in the Andy Reid days.
Super
But
Bowl 39, you mean?
yeah, and I hope that the Eagles can redeem themselves if it happens. But
All right.
yeah, Titans are done for.
Okay. All right, y'all. So for the sake of time, as we still got we still haven't even gotten to LeVar Ball and everything he's caused this week, and we still got
The hell
45.
we know.
Just for the sake of time, we're just gonna stick to just picks and reasons, and just we'll combine the questions. So your Steelers and Jags picks, and your Vikings and Saints. Me, I'm going offense on one side, defense on the other. So I'm picking Steelers to beat the Jags. The Jags season ends to on Sunday, and I think the Vikings will beat the Saints. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm gonna have some people hate me today. I was right with Tennessee. I'm taking the upset special here. The Jaguars will beat the Steelers. I'm taking the upset. Oh, you want another upset? I'll give you two. I'm gonna take the hometown discount. Saints over Vikings. So you got two upset picks.
Trey.
For the let's see, wow, Saints Vikings. I think I'm gonna go with. I do really like the Vikings defense, and the Saints really. Now think about this: the Saints have a great running game. They have two players. You had Mark Ingram, who ran for over 1,000 yards, and then you had Kamara, who ran for something like 700 yards. So that's two players that are close to either at or close to 1,000 yards. So I think they may have actually surpassed Eagles for the best running game in the league. And last week, they could not run the ball against the Panthers defense, right? However, they were still able to come out with that win, right? So I think even if the Saints aren't able to run the ball against the Vikings and that great defense, the Saints come out and win that game. And then also, I'm taking the Jags over the Steelers because look back, I think week 2 or week 3, the Jags destroyed the Steelers, and I picked off Ben Roethlisberger for something like 5 picks. I don't think they do that again, but I think their pass defense is tremendous, and I think their ability to play defense so well, especially in the passing game, is gonna, I think, it's gonna negate a lot of what the Steelers do, and I think the Jags come out again in a really low scoring, boring, unfortunately, playoff game, and then we have a really boring AFC Championship game, unfortunately, between the Jaguars and the Patriots. But I think that's how it's gonna play out.
Mina, go ahead and give your picks. Mina, your pick.
Yeah, um, mm,
And
I want
don't
the
be
Vikings.
nice.
What'd you say? Okay.
Nothing.
I want the Jaguars to win against the Steelers, and I pick the Vikings over the Saints. I want the Vikings to win. But the Saints been good though. Their defense. That last game they played, that was great. But I want the
Don't
Vikings.
suck up now. Don't suck up now. Don't suck up now. Don't suck up.
Matt, I gotta explain. Uh, I want Vikings to win, but I like the Saints defense. So
Okay. Moving right along.
Dre, you forgot about
We,
Dre. You forgot about Dre. Don't forget about my man Dre.
all right. All
You
right,
said
Andre, give me your picks. Vikings, Saints, Steelers, or Jags. What do you take?
I'm gonna go Vikings and I'm gonna go Steelers.
All right, cool. Uh, and Eagles, Falcons, Patriots, Titans. I already know when your answers,
Come on,
but
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, you know this. It's got to be that green team, the one and only Eagles. And what's the other team? I forgot.
Patriots and the Titans in Foxborough.
Now, my head says Patriots. My heart says Titans. Come on, Titans. I'm so sick of Tom Brady.
Okay. So moving right along, we got 3 questions to hit. And Matt's ran to go on 45, so we'll save that one for last. All right. So guys, really, it's all the same question. Does the NBA have a LeVar? No, that's a different ball. A different pop culture reference. Does the NBA have a LeVar Ball problem? I'll start. Yes, they do. They very much have a LeVar Ball problem. Here's why. LeVar Ball giveth to the NBA, and LeVar Ball taketh away. So LeVar Ball was prompted. Most people remember LeVar Ball as some loudmouth who they thought would calm down by the time his son got to the NBA. The same people that thought that must have thought having a businessman as a president would be a great idea, because they were wrong on both accounts. Because LeVar Ball has not calmed down. As a matter of fact, he's been keeping up and being the same character, because I don't think he really acts like this in real life. I just have a hard time believing you act like this in real life, where you just disrespect everybody, right? And you're just a mediocre. Your career achievements compared to those people are mediocre, right? This is why I think he plays a character. But yes, the NBA has a LeVar Ball problem, because he's now gotten to a point where he is now affecting the league and the way the league does business. It's gotten so bad now because now Luke Walton has to look over his shoulder, not just at the Lakers. I mean, he's probably going to be fired at the end of the year anyway. It won't be because of LeVar Ball. It'll be because he just can't do it. I don't know what the difference between the Warriors and the well, I do know a big difference between the Warriors and the Lakers, but
I'm about to say the Warriors is stacked. The Lakers ain't stacked like the Warriors is.
the talent and everything. But
yes, my team is stacked.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that they do have a LeVar problem, and it's a combination of a lot of things. It's the NBA who's propping LeVar up and let him go unchecked. And it's also the media. It's also the fans, because we like to talk about. I mean, we're giving him time on this show. The NBA definitely has a LeVar Ball problem, and it's giving them ratings, but it's also now affecting the way a young, promising coach does his business, and affecting a whole franchise, no matter what people say. Go ahead, Matt.
I am sick and tired of talking about this man. Okay? I am personally sick and tired of literally hearing about this man. I really am. And I'll tell you why. First of all, can the man do his job? That's the bottom line. Can the man do his job? Because, you know, sorry, thing drop. This is where I draw the line. It's one thing. We're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, first of all. The Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, who are second to last in the Western Conference. Why do we care? Why should we care? Okay, his father has created this whole mess in the first place. Created it all, and now we're paying for the price for it here. So I'm not going to be remotely going to be answering the question like that. But my thing is simply this: it all starts with Daddy Ball open his big fat mouth. Okay, if you will let Luke Walton do his job, okay, let your eldest son be a man and do what he's supposed to do, okay, we wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't have this issue. And that's where I have a problem with this. They have not let Luke Walton do his job. And this is, and I said this in this podcast before, this is what happens when you have a helicopter parent. This is what happens. You just see it in a very, very grand scale. This is pretty much unacceptable. Unacceptable. So, done with it.
Andre?
LeVar Ball, this guy is such a joke, man. Like, your claim to fame is that your son is great at basketball. Well, both your sons are great at basketball. And you think that gives you a platform to just say anything. You know, it's so... It's really sad that what he's doing to the black community and in the image of a black man or a black father, like it's bigger than him. He doesn't really care, to be honest with you. That's why somebody needs to really shut him up, and somebody really needs to, the Lakers organization needs to say, listen, we are going to, ban you from the games. I'm not going to hold this against your son, but we will hold it against you. Like, you can't just say or do whatever you want. Like, who do you think you are? Like,
honestly, sorry to cut you off. Honestly, I agree with this assessment. What the Lakers should have done as an organization was that if those actions kept up, not only would he be removed, but his son would have been fired or been released.
I wanted to say that, man, but I'm like, how can I? You can't control another human being. I don't care who they are.
No, you can't. But what you can do, but we've seen this in a lot of
you shouldn't be held accountable for another human being either. It's one thing, like, all right, if I'm married to that person, then, like, all right, you can hold me somewhat accountable, but not really. But for my dad acting crazy, like, Kevin Hart was a crackhead. That has nothing to do with Kevin Hart.
Right, but watch
Kevin
this
Hart
though.
is an awesome man. So the same token goes for LeVar Ball. I mean, for what's his son's name? I can't think of his name. But the same thing goes. Like, they just, I don't know. The media really should stop promoting all the crap and stupid antics he does. Like, Twitter needs to ban him from Twitter. But, of course, people love negativity. So they're going to keep feeding this fire. When we really need to be done with this, because He's just a loudmouth. That's all he is. He's a loudmouth. He's ignorant. He's disrespectful to the players that used to play, to Michael Jordan, to the players that play now. I just want. Let's not talk about this guy no more on the podcast. He's not even worth our time.
Go ahead, Trey.
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, the NBA has had a LeVar Ball problem for a while now, and that's unfortunate. But I think the LeVar Ball problem is not so much with I don't have an issue with him trying to be an entrepreneur and trying to build his own brand. I actually applaud that. To me, I think that's honorable, right? But I think where LeVar Ball goes awry is in his reckless, disrespectful manner of talking, right? So, somebody asks him a question about something he says. He says, he contradicts himself, or he goes on a rant about, I'm better than so and so, or this guy sucks, or now he's going as a coach, and I agree with you, Kylan, in the fact that I don't think LeVar is that he's not as adamant as he is in the media, on Sports Center and all that type of stuff as he is at home. And I think he's kind of embellishing he's embellishing who he is as a person, because I think he thinks it works better to promote the brand, Big Baller brand, and it helps his sons out. But I think what he doesn't realize is that he's actually hurting himself, because now you have a lot of people who look at him, and they say, I don't really like you as a person and all that, So, and he's not helping himself out at all. And the other thing is, I think LeVar needs to understand, and I think he does, but he's a very prideful person. I think he needs to understand how much he's actually hurting the team itself, and the progress of Lonzo and the Lakers' ability to go. That's the NBA's LeVar Ball problem.
Amina?
Yeah, LeVar Ball, what can we say about him? Concerning his three sons, Lonzo, Danilo, and Angelo, um, I understand what he's doing. He's an active father in his children's lives. He's there for his sons. He's built a brand, Big Baller brand, um, for generational wealth that he calls it for his sons in their future. He has, his family all set financially, this, that, and the third. That's all well and fine. We don't, or whatever you want to call it, the building of black wealth in individual families to legacy. Outside of that, he tainted his image in the public based on the fact that he doesn't pick and choose his battles wisely when it comes to the media, having their opinions, which they are rightly due because we are human beings, so everyone does have an opinion, and as well as the Los Angeles Lakers. LeVar Ball popped up out of the nowhere about 2 years ago in the media, and ever since it's been like at least once a week you hear something in the media about this guy. It's crazy. He's one of the most popping things out there. His image wouldn't be so bad if he had just stayed on the sidelines like a typical father with basketball sons. You don't see Steph Curry's father out there acting a fool. When Kobe Bryant was playing, you didn't see his father out there acting a fool. You don't see Klay Thompson's father out there acting a fool. You don't see anybody who plays or has played basketball, their father out there acting a fool. You have everybody else's father that's an NBA player, and then you have LeVar Ball. He's not the traditional NBA father. He's brand new. I hope this does not go into anybody else's life where they think they want to mirror him, because that's not happening. But he's really tainted his name, his family's name, reputation is a goofball. All puns intended concerning his last name. But also, the Los Angeles Lakers, they need to do something about him as far as attending his son Lonzo's games, because it's not about LeVar Ball. It's about the Lakers that Lonzo, his son, is a part of. Lonzo is just a parent of a player on the team. He needs to either shape up or ship out, and it's getting crazy to the point where he comes out with crazy videos. I understand some people have individual opinions. I mean, he's a Scorpio, so he says what he feels like it, like most Scorpios typically do. But outside of that, he just needs to learn how to chill, because this is not happening. It's ruining his three sons' opportunities in life. People typically don't want to be associated with you if your relative or parent or spouse or whatever is off the rocker. So this is just not about him. It's the whole family. When a man starts having a family and he's established a family unit, his decisions not only impact himself, it impacts his wife, his children, his grandchildren. So it's just not about him. And the water ball needs to say, step back, be quiet, remain silent. Think about things before you say them, because it's not about you. And your parent, it's not about you anymore. It's about your children. And if he's not going to get it together, which I hope he does, the Lakers need to seriously ban him from games. ESPN too. They've given him a platform. He'd be on there giving sports commentary, um, his recap on games and stuff. He even has beef with retired NBA players. He even has a beef with Charles Barkley right now. It's very insane. So the War Ball, get it together or suffer. I mean, you're making it bad for your three sons, and it's not fair to them. As Matt said, he's a helicopter parent. It's fine to oversee your children. You pray for your children. You want the best for them, but the way he's going about it is not positive, and it's suffocating. And I would like to hear how they individually feel about it as individuals, not as LeVar Ball's three sons, but as individuals. How do you feel about their father? It's just crazy. Let your sons go. Let them be young adults. Let them be youth. They're not little children anymore. They're growing up. At some point, you got to cut the umbilical cord. And I don't think he's cut the umbilical cord with them. But that's what I have to say about LeVar Ball.
Okay. Well, guys, we only got one more question because we already answered. Did fans create LeVar Ball or did the media? Do you guys want to talk about Rick Carlisle's comments tonight, or you want to save that for next week, or just do it now? We got a 3-day weekend, so it really don't matter. But what's the consensus? Because I mean, I could just wrap that up now, and then we could just hit 45 or what or anything. What do y'all want to do?
It's up to you.
I'll say save it for next week. I don't really know the comments or the story.
Uh, all right then. We can save it. We can save it for next week. All right then. Let's hit Let's say 45 then. Matt's been ready to go on this. All right. So 45 had a comment yesterday. He called and since then we've had some clarification on it from Mr. Jake Tapper. He said that one of his sources at the White House, and this really doesn't change the quote, but he did say that he was referring that quote to African countries, basically to the whole continent of Africa. But when he was talking about, he did talk about Haiti and El Salvador and Guatemala and all these places, but he was talking about that in reference to the merit-based system. He was wondering, why do we keep letting these people from crappy countries? He was just talking about Africa on that, but he was saying on the fuller quote, why are we letting people from these countries, from El Salvador, from Haiti, why do they get special consideration? And then he saved the whole, we should stop taking people from, as I said, the authenticity of the quote. So forgive me, the people, as a sports reporter, as a sports broadcaster, I got to say it the way it's said. And everybody in here knows I don't like to curse, and I run a clean podcast, but gotta do it sometimes. Where he said shithole countries, he was talking about the African continent. But he was saying that, why do we keep accepting these immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and Guatemala? There was two quotes. Why are we accepting people from Haiti, El Salvador, and Guatemala, and countries like that? And why do they get this special status? And then the comment that everyone is upset about, the shithole comment, was actually directed to the African, basically the whole continent of Africa. It's better just to say it that way. And yeah, the Norway and all that is the other part of that. The Norway stuff is accurate too. So yeah. So go ahead, Mac Attack. Go on the attack. Because I know you've been waiting. So go on the attack.
Get him!
I sat here for damn near 48 fudging hours. Watched The View, CNN, CNBC stuff. Even Fox News couldn't defense this. Now, many of you know I will use four-letter words here and there. I mean, not on the mostly on the fun side of things, but I'll be serious about this one. To call a handful of countries in Africa, El Salvador, and Haiti shithole countries. Let me tell y'all something. Let me remind you a couple things. And wait. And you prefer people of Norway to come over. Couple things. Number one, 65 million Americans did not want you in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the first place compared to 62 million, okay? That's number one. Number two, your job performance, sir, has been not only subpar, but it's been a joke. It has been a failure. It's been it's abysmal. I can't even find the words for it. It's been just that bad, okay? If there was a grading system, it would not be a F minus. We're talking lower than a F minus. You should be fired. In any job, you would have been fired. In any job, we would have kicked you to the curb a long time ago. But since the powers that be has kept you in this stupid position called the President of the United States that you have disrespected time and time again, sir, it's time for your removal. It's time for you to go. Okay? Yes. And it's amazing that 62 million Americans didn't see this coming. 62 million Americans didn't see the fact that he was a racist pig, okay? 62 million, and some of them are racist probably anyway, but 62 million Americans. And I'm not shocked anymore. I'm not surprised anymore. I'm angered. I'm appalled. I know Haitians, personally. Haitian Americans personally. I mean, we know some, any black person in their right minds should be offended. If they're not, they have no pulse. And on top of that, just as Uncle Tom's, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. But excuse me, all of us in this podcast have direct or in some way, shape, or form descendants of a shithole country. And you, sir, your descendants came from shithole countries. And oh, by the way, let's get something else here. Norway don't want to come here anyway because they got free healthcare, free education. The GDP per capita is a lot better. They're one of the most happiest countries in the world. And even though the unemployment rates are around the same, but they're better off. You're better off in Norway than you were in the United States. The crime rate is one of the lowest in the world. And you want them to come here? Even Norway says we don't want to come over here, and I don't blame them. Haiti has gone through so much hell and high water. Their politics is the shit pen, but they do the best they can. Okay, I mean they go through natural disaster after natural disaster every year with hurricanes, and 8 years ago to today, they have gone through that earthquake. And you're gonna come in here we're talking about DACA and with the Dreamers and everything else, but you're gonna come here and pretty much say, I don't know, call these countries shitholes? Excuse me, sir. You sir have no business sitting in the Oval Office. You have no business sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You have no business being the president of the United States. You are a joke. You are by far you are vile vermin of filth that I've ever seen in my entire life. I've talked about this podcast time and time again of the horrible job you have done, sir. And you know what? I mean, to those two Republicans who was in the same room as that man, pretty much said vehemently they can't remember. Nigga, you heard, you was in the room, you know exactly what he said, and he repeated it. If that's not racist, I don't know what is. I want this man removed. I want this man impeached. This man has got to go. 2018 is the year that we turn this, excuse my French, we turn this shit around. Because as far as I'm concerned, people, those who came from shithole countries will have the last, or descendants of those shithole countries will have the last word. I don't give a rat's behind. I don't give a rat's ass if it's French or Portuguese. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not excusing my French because I'm not going to lower myself to it. But 2018 is the time that he gets impeached this year. I'm calling it. He has got to go. Resist.
All right, go ahead, Dre. We're just gonna go right down the line. Go ahead, Dre.
You think about this president, man. You get exhausted. You're frustrated with America, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. You wish that our leadership would take a direction and say, I'm not going to put up with this insane man that wants to treat our country any kind of way and just divide and just be all about self instead of about America. He wants to make America great again. That's got to be the biggest joke I ever heard. You know, America is great. And we don't have to get back to a position where we can become great again. All we need is a leader that leads. That's what we need. We need a leader that's going to stand up and say, everyone's here You know, we got people from all walks of life, and people were dying to get into the country, and they revel the stuff we do, the sports we play, the movies we produce, the politics and the policies that we put forth. You know, the students that come out of America, some of the most brilliant minds are from America. And Peach is definitely where he needs to be. We can't go no longer. And, you know, just we're exhausted. And like this, you know, you never seen an approval rating so low for a president. You know, this guy is the worst, man. Like, I never thought I'd see the day where I would see such a division in our country. And, you know, just Democrats stand on one aisle and Republicans stand on another aisle. And just to say that we got something done, they won't work together. That's not democracy. That's not democracy.
Go ahead, Trey.
Man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm with Matt. I didn't understand how people thought that a Trump presidency was a good idea. But I'll say this. Look, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he would say something like this. I mean, I think this is one of the crazier things he said, but I don't think it's the craziest. And it's indicative of what he thinks of other countries outside of the United States. And it's indicative of how he's run this country so far. You know, he could give a rat's behind. He could care less about other countries, with the exception of Russia, and their well-being, and the fact that he would say something so about African countries is mind-boggling. That he would have the nerve to say something like that. And then, and not only does he say it, but what's his name comes out and confirms that he did in fact say it. So, and I don't know what the Trump camp has come, you know, whether they've come out and apologized or anything. I don't know. But this is a comment, you know, and I really would like to know the context of what he was saying. But this is a comment that you can't go back on this, you know, because it's gonna be in the back of everybody's head, especially black people. Okay. And so it is very disappointing that we have a president who would say something like that about African countries, about Haiti. And regardless of the context, I can understand, you know, because I have heard a few people say, well, he was talking about, you know, the condition of the countries in terms of poverty and all that. Okay, whatever. It doesn't mean, like, did you ever hear Obama, or have you ever heard any president say that about another country, that they're, you know, so his level of respect, his level of humility, and his level of his vocabulary level is very, he has a very derogatory vocabulary for some reason, and I don't know why. But, because, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And people think he's successful. They say, oh, the economy is better than ever. Unemployment is lower than ever. You know, S&P 500 is doing great. All these things. And if you actually look, um, a lot of these things actually were on a trend upward already before President Obama left office. And so you can't necessarily you can't necessarily attribute those things to President Trump. And so it's just like you look at his presidency so far. It's been, I think today's the 12th. It'll have been a full year, and it's been nothing but failure after failure after failure. Now I'm glad a lot of these things have failed, but again, like Matt was saying, why did people think, or what would make somebody think that a businessman who has no political experience? I didn't like Hillary, but I knew that she has experience in the White House as the First Lady and as Secretary of State and many other years as Senator. So I can at least trust her. I say the word trust because she's got an issue with lying, but I can at least put some faith in her as a politician because she's got experience. She's got a good resume in terms of what she's been able to do as a politician. Trump, on the other hand, he's a businessman and a very lackluster businessman at that. So this all comes down to the fact that Trump is not a very good president, and he really just doesn't know how to be president, doesn't know how to speak presidentially, and this is all. This comment again, like I started off saying, I'm not surprised he said it, but it's very disappointing again and again to keep seeing him, keep hearing him say these negative things about other countries, about other people, and then and then people go and support him.
Mina, it's on you.
Um, a lot to say about this. When I first heard the report, I was not surprised, especially in regards to him saying things about Haiti. I mean, as 2017 was closing out towards its end, he came out and said that Haitians have AIDS, like all of them, as though they're all an epidemic. And then he comes out with this, saying that the 54 African countries, El Salvador and Haiti, and I believe one other place are all shitholes, and that we need more immigrants from places like Norway. First of all, he goes off on these rants, talk about make America great again. When has America ever been great? You can't recall not one year in American history when the country has been great. The country has never been great, especially for the darker hued people of the country. This country's never been great. I don't know who this country was great for when you go back in history. Second of all, maybe we should revoke the citizenships of everyone with German and Scottish ancestry, so that way that Donald Trump himself can be gone and get packing and head back to Europe. Um, Third of all, I went to high school and graduated with Haitians. As I said, I went to high school with Haitians. They are some of the most strongest people I know. They are no nonsense. They come from great families, great stock. Um, Based on my exposure personally to Haitians in my life for the last 10 years, I see them writing stories and updates of what's going on in Haiti. A lot of them have farmland, own their homes over there in Haiti, have businesses, doing well, better than we're living over here in America. Those of us that were born and raised here, that's for damn sure. African countries, what is he talking about? They have neighborhoods in Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, all these countries that have great medical and law institutions that people are sending their children to all over the globe. I know people personally that live in Africa. I know somebody who lives in Accra, Ghana. These places are have A1 lifestyles. Hardly no one outside of a village in Africa lives in a hut. People have houses in Africa. They have roads, bridges, schools, malls. Africa is not what it's portrayed to be in American media. I don't know what it is. Has Donald Trump ever personally visited Africa? That's what I want to know. Um, from the report that they reported, he said vulgar choice of language that could not be repeated on national television. And I, along with other people that I've talked to concerning this, all feel as though he used the N word with the hard R at the end. And one day he's going to not say it in private because he thought this was a little secret meeting of his in private, but he didn't know that what he was saying was going to get leaked to the media. But one day he's going to say that N word in the public that he said at the Oval Office this week, and he's going to say it in public, and it's going to be a firestorm. It's going to be a mess, and I'm just waiting on it. He also said these statements at a very interesting time. It was very convenient. I mean, the Martin Luther King Jr. observance is this Monday. Today is the 8th anniversary of the Haitian earthquake that happened on the 12th of January in 2010. Black History Month is next month. His State of the Union address is on January 30th. His buddy Chris Christie's, I think his address either did it or about to do it, and he's leaving New Jersey's governor office on the 16th, actually on Tuesday. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the country concerning Donald Trump. And as I've said, November 3rd, 2020 is going to be an interesting date to see the future of his presidency if he does have one or doesn't, whichever God chooses. But I want him to seriously say it because he feels as though he's in his right to say what he wants to say and feel what he wants to feel, but he can never say it to anyone's face. If you have so much to say about black people, why don't you say it to their faces? I mean, you're no better than your father, who was a housing lord in New York that didn't rent the blacks. Fred Trump. Research him. Whole documentary about him. I don't know. Like, I don't keep up with, the presidency because it is what it is. I mean, they're going to put who they want in office as far as the electoral college. But this is really has been a rather interesting year since January of last year. And, it's just really unfortunate that he judges places he's possibly never even been in his life. Beautiful places he judges. But no. And as about his comment about Norway, people from Norway don't want to come here. They have A1 healthcare over there, top of the line education. Is voted, one of the happiest and safest places in the world. No one from Norway is coming here. You very rarely, seldom will come across somebody from Norway walking around an American street. Their lives are set over there. America is falling right now. And I don't know what's up with them. Like, just needs to watch what you say, watch who you say it to, and act presidential. I mean, seriously. All that extra is uncalled for. But that's what I got to say about Donald J. Trump today.
Okay, well that leaves me then. Let me start by saying this. Everybody had great comments, great stuff as well. That's why it's great to have us all together, get the different perspectives and everything. That's one. Now on the Mr. to President to the commander and Twitty it, the Orangiate, the orange Basil. Let's just call him what he is, man.
Twitler.
He is it's like every week get confirmation about how much crap we're in because people decided to do something different a couple Novembers ago. People decided to trust a businessman with a country that's not a business. Not Donald Trump. Oh, President Obama told him he can't run it like a business. I think tweeting and his blunt comments and everything are just a reaction to people just not doing what he wants them to do, man. You know, he looks at. I just really think that everything that he's doing goes back to losing to Hillary Clinton in the popular vote by what was it, like 5 or 10 million people, and you know he is, and I feel like he takes out all his frustrations from that on the people that voted for us. So why would he say something like that about Africa? Well, because African Americans voted for him in a record number. Most of them African women. I mean African American women. But we African American men did so too. That's why I feel I have no confirmation to back this up, except for we know he's petty. We know he has low self-esteem. We know he has a lot of things. And I think that's why he says stuff like, "Oh, Africa's a shithole." But you know what I mean? Like, and that couldn't be further from the truth. First off, Africa is the motherland. Africa is where everything started. It's a beautiful place. And the only reason, first off, the fact that you can be president of the United States, let me go back. Let me back up and say something like that and be so willfully ignorant of history and you're 70 something years old is beyond me. How can you say Africa is a shithole? Okay, if Africa is a shithole, right? The only reason it's a crap hole is because of your ancestors. Your people came over here from Germany and Ireland, 45. Your people were part of the reason why you could say Africa is a shithole because you know a lot of Africa's gold sits in
Scotland.
Sits in Buckingham Palace right about now. You know, buried under there somewhere. The Queen and her family, Meghan Markle and the rest of them will be living off of African gold for the rest of their lives until this world ends. That's one reason why Africa is so crappy, because you stole the gold, you stole the sugar, you stole the cotton, you stole and depraved Africa of all its natural resources, the motherland. You got the nerve to call something a shithole. Then let's get to Haiti. Haiti suffers all this stuff. It's the freaking 8-year anniversary of the Haiti earthquake. And on the eve of that, you call Haiti, you ask why are we taking people from Haiti? Like, have you not seen a newspaper or something as to why America's taking the Haitis? First off, it's literally not literally, but it's literally down a couple ocean blocks from us. Next after that, it's our neighbor. The freaking French robbed them blind. And, we have all these countries that are suffering from colonialism from back in the day that still is hindering the country now in 2018. And it's so idiotic to have this man that people think is doing so great, but is living off of the Obama. And it's not even just that. It's the fact of he's eroding, because they did a CNN news report about it. He's eroding the fact that America's international rep. Like I'm in the business, in the journalism and communications business, where your reputation is everything. Your word is bond. That's just how I personally live. Like, word is bond. So, like, when you say stuff, when you have stuff on your Statue of Liberty that says, "Give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your everything else," and we got a president that's out here saying, "Yo, I decreased the legal immigration rate here in the country." That's not what you want when you're in a country full of old white people that's dying off, and that's going to be a minority come 2 years from now. That's not what you want. You want immigrants. You want people to come in legally. It's not a good thing that immigration decreased 5 to 10% in this country since this man got elected. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, especially when you have a large population of a majority that in the last census is having a 1.5 child. I'm really trying to figure out how you have a half a child. But that's a topic for another day, right? Y'all, some of y'all, not all of y'all, are out here celebrating that we don't get no immigrants no more. That's a bad thing for a country where a lot of people, and matter of fact, all of our parents in this podcast are baby boomers. So that's a lot of mouth and gumption from people that are going to be retired and living off government assistance very, very soon. Right? So, and I'm not saying that's all baby boomers, but it's a large portion of that. And shame on anybody, conservative or not. And I'm specifically talking to the evangelical Christians, the Christians who didn't say a word about Obama, about how Obama claimed Christianity. Now talking about we got a real Christian in office. Looking at you, Pat Robertson. Looking at you, Franklin Graham. Looking at you, family, Jerry Falwell Jr., and all the little Falwells. Looking at all y'all people who sit up here and have people in black churches, Mexican churches, Latino churches hold your work up. What God has done to you as something to be looked at, and you're just as bad as him. You're not saying anything. I find it funny that just as silent on the Republican side are the conservative and evangelical Christians. The people who read the Bible supposedly every day, look at the Bible, and still can look at that man and say, "Yo, he represents me." He represents you. Is this really what we become? A country that doesn't respect our history because we got a man that doesn't read, doesn't like to read, would rather get his news from the most biased source on television, Fox News. Didn't do anything else. A man who thinks he's scared North Korea into coming to the table with South Korea, not realizing that there's an Olympics in 2 weeks. Like, come the heck on. This is a man-child we got in the White House. That's what we have. We have a man-child currently in the White House. We have a man that doesn't respect history. We got a man that doesn't respect anybody unless you're white, male, and rich. Like, this is a man that doesn't respect you. But yet a lot of y'all will bend over backwards like pythons trying to defend this man. You can't defend this. You can't defend something that he actually said. You can't defend the fact that he has shown all of us, that all the people that voted for that not even all, that he conned the people that voted for him. He conned them. He conned them. I don't understand how he conned them, but he conned them. And it is I'm not even offended anymore because You know what? He's done worse things than this, like calling kneeling NFL players SOBs. I knew we were going to have a problem then. And I'll close like this. If I imagine a President Barack Obama or President Hillary Clinton saying, you know what? I only want Africans. From now on, if President Obama said, I only want people legitimately from Africa. I don't want nobody from Germany, from Britain, from France. I just want Africans. You know how outraged Mitch McConnell, Fox News, and the rest of them would be? They'd be saying, look, we told you he's a Muslim. We told you he's a secret Muslim. He's been selling us out. The conspiracy theories were right. But because it's President Trump, because it's a guy who's orange, you think he represents you. You think this is great. You think the fact that we're losing or nobody's coming here legally or we are experiencing 5% or so decrease in immigration, as if that's not a problem. But like I said, a population where the majority of people will be retiring and dying out very soon. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And these comments just show you who we are. I agree with Matt. I agree with Amina. I agree with Andre. And I agree with Trey. Like, it's time, man. It's time to get rid of it. It's time to force these Republicans to take a stand or leave. Like, you're either going to stand up for your country, your party, or whatever, or always be connected to this guy forever. Anytime I ever see somebody that says, listen, I'm a Republican, don't even have to be a Republican, because there's some Democrats defending them too. And it doesn't even matter. But right now, since he's a Republican, claiming to be Republican, it's going to scar the Republican Party for the rest of the existence of their party. They might have to rebrand and rename to get away from this, because the stake is all over everybody, and it's all over this country. And it's a shame. We are so much better than this. So much better. All right, y'all. That was our podcast for tonight. It's officially 12:07. It's officially Saturday. It's been a while since we had a full podcast.
Not here.
All right. 11:07 Central Time. It's officially midnight over here on the East Coast. It's officially Saturday. Hey, thank you for joining us. Enjoy your MLK Day weekend. One final programming thing to let y'all know.
Win today.
Well, one final programming thing to let y'all know about. We're going to be switching. This is our last podcast on Friday night. We're gonna go back to Saturday at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Do some work schedules in here and class schedules and different things that are going on for some of the people who really want to be active in this podcast. So we're switching up back to Saturday afternoon, 12 or 1 o'clock Eastern, 11, 12 o'clock Central for Matt. And it's going to be great. Like I said, I hope y'all enjoy the full roster. We haven't had a full roster of people in a month or so. So that was great. I want to thank Trey for coming, even on a retreat. I want to thank Andre for coming and being dedicated to the podcast as well, coming during the retreat, because they're at the leadership retreat for our church. We thank you so much for coming out. Thank Amina, thank Matt for coming out on a Friday night. We did have to on MLK Day weekend, nonetheless. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Continue to support the podcast. Look at all of us at Colin W. Watson. You can find most of everybody in here on my Twitter at Small Red Horns is Matt's. What's yours, Amina? You have a Twitter?
Not no more.
All right, well, never mind then. So follow everybody. WatsonSportsTapes.com to follow about the articles that I write, and also PhillyChristianVoice.com. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend. Like I said, switch it over to Saturdays at 12 or 1 p.m., probably more than likely 12 o'clock. Look for more specials now that we're in football playoff season, especially as long as the Eagles are still in it. We'll still do it with or without the Eagles. But just stay tuned, man. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We're praying for the people of California dealing with mudslides as well. Firefighters, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your MLK Day. Remember the man and remember his legacy. Deuces.
Have a great